Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to New Deck Profile. In this one, I'd like to take a look at a Gyarados meme deck from the set Surging Sparks. So, Gyarados EX is undoubtedly one of the worst EX cards that there is in Standard, which is a bit of a shame really, because I'm honestly a big fan of Gyarados, I like him, he's cool. But Tyrannical Tail, for a whopping 5 energy, does 360 damage, but only if your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it. Now, I might try a Baxcalibur, Hawlucha, weird Dusclops spread deck of some sorts eventually, but right now, what I wanted to do is actually try out a Magikarp deck. Now, so the weird thing about this deck is that Magikarp essentially has the attack that you want to use, Raging Fin, which does 10 damage and 30 more for each Magikarp and Gyarados in the discard pile for 2 colorless energy, which is quite nice. So what we can do is play Relicanth, which says each of your evolved Pokemon can use any attack from its previous evolutions. So basically the strategy here is we're getting Gyarados EX to copy Magikarp's Raging Fin. And thanks to a new card in the set Surging Sparks, which is Brilliant Blender, we can search your deck for up to 5 cards and discard them. So hopefully you can see where I'm going with all this. We're trying to use Brilliant Blender to search our deck for 4 Gyarados and discard them, plus an additional Magikarp. And then once we've done all that, we can do an absolutely staggering 160 damage. So yeah, this is why this deck is a bit of a meme deck, because for 2 energy, plus Relicanth, plus 4 Gyarados, plus a Magikarp in the discard pile, we can swing for 160 damage. That's it. That is all the damage you can do with this deck. You can discard more Magikarps, but you'll find it very difficult to attack with and evolve. We can, of course, play Night Stretcher to retrieve multiple Gyarados and Magikarps, in various situations in the game. But for the most part, this is a pretty terrible deck. Now, thankfully, there is also some really good trainers which can help this deck out, in particular Irida, which allows us to search our deck for a water Pokemon and an item card. So it's really cool because it just means we can find Blender as well as a Gyarados EX turn 2. So that's just fantastic. We also have Rotom V with the instant charge ability, allowing us to draw 3 cards, even though it does end our turn. And it also means we can run stuff like Forest Seal Stone, which once in our turn just allows us to search our deck for any card, which is really good. You can do that once per game, but it's still, very powerful. And that's kind of it, really. There's also some other weird stuff I've just kind of thrown in here because I just felt I may as well lean into the silly side of things. So I'm running one practice studio, which says the attacks of stage 1 Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's, do plus 10 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Which I figured, may as well, right? Also got one counter game. And, FYI, just an FYI before I do this. I haven't actually used this stadium yet, so I don't know if this will count Gyarados' copying Magikarp's attack, if that makes sense. So, yeah, for those wondering, I made a list, I recorded the video, and uploaded it to YouTube without first verifying if a card in the deck actually works. So, do take notes here. So, yeah, Practice Studio, there for the brave. We do have this Gyarados here. Now, there is multiple different Gyarados that you can play, by the way, but I just wanted to play this one because it's quite funny in some situations. Flip a coin till you get tails for each heads, discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. If you're feeling a bit risky, you can obviously just evolve Magikarp into this Gyarados and attack with Wreak Havoc. So, that's kind of fun, in a way. But aside from that, it's kind of just pointless. But it is from the same set, Pokemon Go. So you may as well, while you're there, pick up more copies. So yeah, that's kind of that. And the only other Pokemon we haven't really talked about is Cleffa, just because it has free retreat and the attack Grasping Draw. So that's quite nice just for setting up. I'd probably swap this out rather for the new Budew card, the item locks from Prismatic Evolutions, but I think by then I will have had enough trying to make this deck work. But yeah, in the future I might try and add Brute Bonnet and Mochi just to try and poison Gyarados just to make it a bit more fragile. But basically just means that Raging Fin's actually doing a bit more damage. But yeah, Also, the other thing about this deck is you play double colors. So I'm just playing a variety of special energy, which I thought would be quite fun. Got some jet energy just because you might not want to leave Magikarp in the active spot. So being able to jet energy a benched Magikarp is quite cool. Also playing Gift Energy just to act as a bit more of a draw engine. And also got Mist Energy to prevent effects of attacks. So that's kind of helpful. But yeah, that's the deck. It's very silly. I would not recommend this if you want to win games. It's just here if you want to have, like, I guess, an experiment at trying out Gyarados. You know, if you have a good Gyarados list, of course, please do let me know. But yeah, aside from this, I have thought of one other way maybe to make Gyarados work with like Tatsugura EX and things. But aside from that, it's a pretty bad card, basically. So yeah, do let me know what you think down below. And yeah, Speed Emma Power. So we definitely didn't have the worst turn one. We did get Brilliant Blender in the opening hand, allowing us to discard 4 Gyarados and a Magikarp, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, my opponent might be able to KO Magikarp because we did have to attach a Jet Energy to the Carb. So my opponent could use Memory Skip, which would be quite annoying. But on the plus side, I'm pretty sure this only applies to Magikarp. So what we should be able to do is actually just evolve into Gyarados in this situation and still use Raging Fin. So I'm fairly sure this effect is removed when we evolved. Now, I have no idea if this is going to be the case, but this is a first time experience for me, so I'm definitely going to be trying it out in this scenario. So what I can do is Irida for Gyarados EX, and we already have Relicanth in play. So, yep, Irida. Go get ourselves a Gyarados, and I guess we can get a item. I don't know what item we actually need though. Nest Ball, I guess. Yeah, we can get Nest Ball, sure, why not? So we can just Nest Ball for another Carb. So now we get to see, I'm not actually sure if this gets us the KO here. So can we use the attack? And yeah, okay, so we can actually use Raging Fin, that's cool. Okay, so Nest Ball. We do have to put another Carp into play just to attack, sadly, so we'll bench that. And then we can just go ahead here and use Raging Fin. Yeah, Raging Fin for 160. So then Ralts gets KO'd. We get a prize card, which is quite nice. And my opponent can still evolve into Curlia on their next turn. They could also wreck Candy to Gardevoir if they really wanted to, which would be a bit scary. And despite having a really good opening hand, we sadly don't do that much damage with this deck, really. So one of the things I'm kind of thinking about doing is maybe like Brute Bonnet plus like Mochi, so you can do like a bit more damage, but at the same time, I might try and lean into like the tankier side of Gyarados EX. I'm just like trying to make this card work really because Tyrannical Tail is just a wee bit too expensive to make work. Like 5 energy, plus you already had to have sprinkled a damage counter on there, you know. It's a bit too expensive, sadly, which is a shame because I do like Gyarados as a Pokemon. So that's Drifloon, okay. But you do have to rare candy the Gardevoir if you want to attack this turn. It might be like a TM devolution situation. We also need to find some like more energy, really. Relicanth, so we do have both Night Stretchers still in deck. Losing counter gain's a bit of a shame, really, so... Okay, so they pay the retreat cost. That's good that they didn't hit us with the Memory Skip. That would have been a bit rough. So, Ultra Ball, fair enough. I'm assuming this is for Curlia. We do have Boss's Orders in deck, but, you know, it's only 2 copies, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to find it, really. If we top deck an Ultra Ball, then maybe we can Ultra Ball the minion for it. Okay, so there is Gardevoir, but they're not really doing a lot of damage. They do have the counter catcher, okay, fair enough. So they're going to go after Relicanth, which is fair. Unfortunately for them, we do have another one, so that's a bit RIP for them. They will get a free hit on Gyarados with this Gardevoir, which kind of sucks. So like the next few turns are going to be a wee bit awkward, but I think we should be okay, really. So promote this bad boy. We do kind of need to find more stuff. So that's Gyarados. That's cool, actually. We'll evolve you there. I don't think we will fall behind in prizes at this rate, but I will just attach that there. We do have to bench Relicanth. That's kind of important. I will then research. So this is why you play research. So you don't have to Iono. And Gift Energy, that's quite nice. Pop that down there. Don't need to Nest Ball yet, actually. I don't think there's anything left in deck I really need. So Radiant Greninja's alright, but again, not necessary. And we can just, I guess, Raging Fin again. So yeah, the main crux of this deck really is you don't do a lot of damage. that's like the downside. Maybe a Defiance Band or something, but even then you're still not doing a lot of damage. Like, you're just not doing enough damage, and the HP, although it's a lot, 300 is a lot in some situations, especially for a stage 1. But the thing is, like, there's just so many 1-hit codecs, really, which is a bit of a pain. So what my opponent might do is hit us with the memory skip, which would be quite annoying. So we won't be able to... Yeah, I think they will just hit us with memory skip here, which is very frustrating. If we had a Switch... I'm just trying to think if there's any way I can get a Switch. I suppose I could Nest Ball for Rotom. Forest Seal Stone for a Switch, maybe? That seems like a lot of steps, though, just to get a Switch off. I suppose it's worth it. Because even though the Blender is a great A-spec, you do kind of want things like Prime Catcher, or, what's it called? I forgot the name of it. Like Maximum Belt, maybe, for the extra damage. Okay. So they've put the energy there. That's fair, but doesn't really do much else for them. I suppose we can gift energy this bad boy. That's fine. And I don't need anything else with this hand, really. I suppose I could boss. Boss into Rolts. Which we're doing 160. Yeah, I suppose this is fine, right? Because at the very least, they don't get access to memory skip and they have to rely on their top deck or attacking with Gardevoir, so I'm okay with doing this. So we'll use Raging Fin. Another prize card, please. Only 160, it's pennies. Quite pitiful. Unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, this Gyarados doesn't count towards the total of Gyarados in your discard pile, which is a bit of a shame, really. So Gardevoir EX comes in, Miracle Force, 190 probably. We hit them, they hit us again, we get knocked out, but then we KO them with Gyarados, so... And my opponent concedes. Lovely. It happens, I guess, but yeah, Gyarados is just a wee bit silly. Okay, PGO is... Not PGO, PG Live is glitching out a bit, but... Fair dues.